So May Mailman, we have to ask right away, Senior Policy Strategist, what does that entail?
All right, so I work for Stephen Miller. He is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, and I'm his deputy. So together, Stephen's the ideas guy, and he has a great relationship with the president, and so they have a lot of policies that they've known that they've wanted to work on for 4 years, 8 years, and then I'm trying to be the one who makes it happen. So during transition, it was helping write a lot of executive orders, and then right now, there is some bottom-up policy happening. Hey, what should we do about our drones policy? What should we do about seabed mining? What should we do about accreditation? And so I'm trying to make sure that those policies align with what the president wants, that they're legal, that all of our good ideas are getting there. So it's just policy wrangling.
You represent to me, in many ways, the promise of this administration because you've already been through it. You are here again. You just said the policies we've been thinking about for years. And so talk to me a little bit about that, the difference between this time and last time.
Yeah, so the similarities, I would say, is the president, who has the same amount of energy, you know, continues to receive ideas, think them through. He likes to talk to his advisors. But the difference, I think, is there's a real clear direction. During the first time, you had a group of people who had been at the RNC for a while. They came in with Reince Priebus. There was a group of people who were campaign, who were pretty new to politics. There was a group of people who came in with their friends. And it was just hard to try and figure out a direction. Now, there's such a thing as Trump's people. There's the MAGA movement. And there aren't factions. Everybody came together. And I just think it's, yes, easier to get things done, but there's just a clearer vision. We all know what we're working on, and it's just, how can we make this strong? How can we make this clear? How can we message it? We're worrying about smaller things and not bigger things of where's the bathroom? Like, how do we run this place? What are we doing?
Right. So what are the biggest challenges this time around?
The biggest challenges, I would say some of the big ideas are just difficult. So, for example, let's just take energy. Energy, we can turn energy completely 100% on, and we already have. Biden issued no LNG permits. We've already issued 4 export permits. And so what we're trying to do now is say, how can we cement this to be lasting? So we're spending a lot of time thinking, well, last time we did a lot of great things, but then Biden turned it all off. We don't want that to happen again. So the challenges are long-term focused. Yes, we've got Congress, but the Senate, getting 60 votes is difficult. So it's either figuring out how do you get to 60 votes, or what are things that we can do with Harvard, with the law firms, that will change the culture of this country, that will bring people to where they want to be. Nobody wants to discriminate on the basis of race. How can you change the Overton window, change the culture in order to cement some of these things in?
See, this is why, and I can say this because I'm not in the administration right now, this is why it's important, and I say this to the audience, I want to say this all the time, to talk to the people who are actually where the rubber hits the road. Because what you're describing is, how do we actually do the things that everyone out there wants you and the administration to do? So if we take one example, or the first one, let's take the juicy example of Harvard. Everyone loves to hate Harvard, and for good reason. So talk to us a little bit about what's been going on there.
Yeah, so Harvard was issued a list of very reasonable demands, like stop discriminating against your students. Yes, stop anti-Semitism, don't let your students get beat up, right? Let them get to class. But longer term themes, because anti-Semitism is a symptom. It shows that there's a problem, but it is not itself the disease, right? If you treat white people as hierarchically worse than other people, that will result in anti-Semitism. So the things that we're asking them to do are actually what the Supreme Court has asked them to do, and Harvard decided to say, get lost. But having a bad relationship with the federal government, Harvard has quickly realized, is not a good idea. The federal government gives you things. That's all it does. It just gives you things.
How did they come to that realization?
I know. And, you know, you take those things. You don't have to. If they would like to not take any money, they don't have to. But you take them with strings attached, and these are discretionary grants. And so if we want to say, if you're going to do this, you're going to follow the law, first of all, but also you're going to shape up. You're going to become the world-class institution that you claim to be. And so I actually think that having that realization that they accept cultural change, that they would like to do that, only the very far radical, this is what we've seen also with the law firms. The radical left of the associate class wants to be crazy and use law firms as like ways to end America. But most people don't, and I feel the same way with Harvard too. So it's just getting people to basically say it out loud.
Yeah, but this is, it's so key, it's so vital, it's so important. It's something that hasn't happened before to this extent in my entire life. And that is, you're making them do this in a way, by forcing them to make decisions like grown adults about these things by saying these funds are in fact discretionary, this is taxpayer money, and you don't just have a right to take it. I mean, so the response, just to see that happen, I know this. So many people in the audience are just so happy to see these things finally happen. But they're all not over. None of it's over, it's just begun. So like with Harvard, what do you think happens next? Do you think that they're going to move in a sensible direction?
I think Harvard, like all the other universities who kind of have Harvard policies, discriminatory, violent policies, anti-free speech policies, these are universities that are going to have to choose. And I think you're going to see a Columbia-style path and a Harvard-style path. And Columbia also has the same problems Harvard does on campus. But Columbia has decided that they want to make changes. Now, there's been no agreement finalized yet, and we still need to see what that looks like. But I think ultimately it's going to be a very clear choice. Do the right thing, do well by your students, and continue to have access to research money and other benefits, or don't, and don't.
It seems to make a lot of sense. I love it. So a few punchy questions before we round out, because I know you have other things to do today, and we appreciate your time. Just your own gut instinct, first 100 days, what are you most proud of?
The border. That's been, the American people were obviously sick of it. Democrats were sick of it. So I would say that. But the second thing, because that's so obvious, I think there really is a culture shift. I almost hate the word DEI because nobody knows what it means. But I would say you've seen companies change their policies to no longer discriminate in the government. Every single office that is responsible for discriminating is closed. It's gone. Those people have been let go. So if we can have the equality in our country, that is sort of the root basis of our nation's promise, that you should be treated as an individual, that you should be given opportunity based on who you are, that change, what more could you ask for? And I think that cultural change is something that we've really seen shifted from the government and externally. To do business with the government, to be a contractor, you can't discriminate against people. And you're going to start seeing that more and more and more. And I think it'll be a legacy item.
Yeah, that's the promise of the Declaration of Independence, equality right there. Okay, but looking forward to the future, what's the big hill to climb?
Yeah. So the first 100 days are exciting because they're fast and it's a lot of change, and we almost forgot that we had Biden just a few months ago. It's feels like a world of difference. But there's been a lot of lawsuits because when things move fast, courts move quickly and they issue these TROs. So I think, one, you're going to see a lot of freedom from the courts where the Supreme Court and appellate courts continue to weigh in. But two, a lot of the things that we were saying are going to become regulatorily permanent, as permanent as a regulation can be. So instead of just saying something, it's now going through the process where there will be notice and comment, and then it will become part of our Federal Register, where things like anti-discrimination, instead of just saying there's no DEI offices, we will now have regulation that says, in order to do business, you've got to do these things, not discriminate, basically. So I think cementing in some of the things that you've been hearing to be actually part of the policy in the agencies, that's going to be the biggest shift.